Hello and welcome to this beginner's guide series to graphic design. From what graphic design is, skills to be a graphic designer, design theory, education you need, equipment you need, to the graphic design portfolio and interview advice. This series is for anyone at any level, so if you're interested in graphic design and consider becoming a graphic designer, then join me as I discuss a series of graphic design topics. Now, graphic design is not simply about making things look good. In graphic design, there are rules that can be considered. These rules are called the principles of design, and these are what typically separate good design from bad design. These principles all have a relationship between each other and appear in every well-designed piece of work you see. A good grasp of design theory will mean there is always substance behind your work. The key principles of design are contrast, hierarchy, alignment, balance, proximity, repetition, simplicity, and function. Whatever work you produce, be it for a magazine, a poster, a website, or advertisement, the principles of design should be considered. A good designer will keep these principles and guidelines in their toolkit and will consciously use them to develop their ideas. In this video, I'm going to discuss the fifth key design principle and discuss proximity as a design principle in graphic design. In this video, I'll be referring to some visual examples. If you wish to take a closer look at these, you can find them in the downloadable PDF document that accompanies this series. Link is in the description. So, proximity is the grouping and shaping of objects in a composition. In design, we use proximity for two main reasons. First, to create connections. Proximity can create relationships between visual elements in a composition, create relevance, hierarchy, create organization and structure. The second reason is to dispel connections. Proximity can also be used to suggest no relationship between visual elements, to break organization and structure. By moving visual elements closer together or further apart, we are applying the design principle of proximity. In design, these two forces can be applied in various degrees to help achieve a particular effect or outcome to communicate a message. Typically, in design, related elements should be grouped together so that they will be viewed as a group. Unrelated elements should have distance and should not be in close proximity to each other. Audiences will assume that elements that are not near each other in a design are not closely related. A good sense of proximity in design can help differentiate visual elements, to reduce visual clutter and make design more comprehensible. Proximity is influential to the design principle, balance, and hierarchy. Space between visual elements will communicate a particular dynamic on a page. Depending on the intended purpose or look and feel, a designer must sense which type of balance to execute to suggest hierarchy. So looking at the PDF, here are some proximity examples. So first is a simple layout design. Now, audiences should never have to work at trying to figure out which caption goes with which graphic, or whether or not a line of text is a subtitle or a line of text unrelated to the title. Viewers should never have to work at trying to figure out the connection of information in a design. This makes for a poor user experience and an inability to digest information. Here we can see the same message, but laid out in various different ways. We can see which one is the most comprehensible here. In design, one should try and avoid the appearance of having made arbitrary decisions. When visual elements appear randomly or poorly positioned, it is noticeable and can devalue a piece of work if done unintentionally. When we begin to place shapes together, we create a particular relationship between them. In this example, we have three individual shapes. If placed together with just the right proximity, negative space is made to suggest a new visual shape entirely. This gives new meaning to the individual shapes that make this composition. If we move them apart ever so slightly, this message is lost. Now, from a young age, we learn shapes and symbols that are imprinted into our memory. The alphabet, for example. These shapes and symbols are used to communicate visually, as a visual language or represent meaning. When we think of all the symbols and logos we know so well, it's through the combination of shapes and proximity that works to imprint images into our memory. If we take some of the most simplest, well-known shapes and alter their proximity, they no longer have their meaning and become something entirely different. However simple or complex, it's this relationship or lack of relationship between shapes that can trigger feelings, convey messages, engage an audience, add emphasis to a portion of a layout and create dynamics. Proximity is a powerful principle to use in design. A good grasp and sense of proximity can be the difference between good and amazing design. So that is the fifth key design principle in graphic design. When you look at design, ask yourself, how has proximity been considered? What relationships has the designer created or dispelled? How has proximity been used to create the overall composition? And how well does it work as part of the design? Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button on my Facebook page. If you'd like to see more videos like this in future, hit the subscribe button. And you can also follow me on Twitter @Tastytudes. So the next key design principle is repetition. In the next video, I'm going to talk about repetition as a design principle in graphic design. So I'll see you in the next video.